وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا صدق الله مولانا العلي العظيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله على النبي الأمي وآله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلاة وسلاما عليك يا رسول الله اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت يا حي يا قيوم تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا اللهم يا كريم أكرمنا بنور الفهم وأخرجنا من ظلمات الوهم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, we will continue with the 188th covenant from the Muhammadan covenants of Imam Abdul Wahhab Sha'rani rahimahullah, in relation to the etiquettes and the rights of visiting our brothers and the righteous. What should our intention be when we set forth from our homes to visit the awliya, the salihin, even our brothers? What should our intention be? The last paragraph that he mentioned was in relation to interpreting the speech of our brothers and giving 70 good interpretations to a speech or a statement of our brother which may seem wrong, which may have any aspect to it which can be criticized or condemned. So we should give 70 interpretations to that. That is what Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah mentions in Adab al-Alimi wal-Muta'allim, in the Muqaddimah, the prelude of Sharh al-Muhadhab. And then he says, ثم إذا دخلت يا أخي لزيارة أخيك فإياك وذكر حال أركان الدولة وما هم فيه أو تذكر أحدا من المسلمين بسوء ونحو ذلك فيصير اجتماعكما معصية. Oh my brother, when you go to visit your brother or your friends or your family members, then beware of mentioning any member of the government, Arkanul Dawla, and what they are indulged in. Do not mention about them. Now this, what Imam Abdul Wahhab Sha'rani mentions rahimahullah, was in relation to the Ottoman Empire, because in the time of Imam Abdul Wahhab Sha'rani rahimahullah, this is the 10th century Hijrah, it was the Ottoman rule over Egypt as well, and most of the offices or most of the posts of government that was taken by the Shurafa, Sharif, Shurafa, yani the Ahlul Bayt of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But even then, having said that, in relation to our times, what benefit will we have in reforming a governor or a ruler if we talk about it in the isolated quarters of our homes in Bolton? Yani subhanallah, if we were going to speak about someone with the intention of reformation of Islah, then that's something else. But talking about members of the government and what they do and their tyranny and their oppression, without ourselves reforming our own state first, will have no benefit, will have no impact. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ, which is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions. So this is why he says, let us steer clear from talking about Arkanul Dawla, and let us make our ijtima', our meeting, our union with our friends, a union of dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which is why he also mentions before, لَيْسَ يَتَحَسَّرُ أَهْلُ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا عَلَى سَاعَةٍ مَرَّتْ بِهِمْ لَمْ يَذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ فِيهَا. Ahlul Jannah, when the people of Jannah, the dwellers of Jannah will enter it, they will have no regret except for those moments of their life in which they could have made a dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they did not. Had they made a dhikr of Allah, had they united and met one another on the dhikr of Allah, they would have had greater stations in Jannah. And as the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ mentions, that one of the 7 types of people who shall be granted the shade under the shade of the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّ, on that day where there should be no shade except His, will be رَجُلَانِ تَحَابَّا فِي اللَّهِ اجْتَمَعَ عَلَيْهِ وَتَفَرَّقَ عَلَيْهِ. Those two people who loved one another for the sake of Allah. They met for the sake of Allah and they departed for the sake of Allah. They shall be put on, as one hadith, عَلَى مَنَابِرَ مِن نُور, on pulpits made of nur. And then he also says, beware of mentioning any of the Muslims with evil. Beware of speaking ill of any Muslim. When you gather with your friends, when we have a social gathering, beware of slandering or engaging calumny or backbiting or telltaling. Okay, unfortunate as it is, our majalis are filled with this. Iyadhu billah, may Allah protect us, may Allah forgive us. Otherwise, he says, فَيَصِيرُ اجْتِمَاعُكُمَا مَعْصِيَةً. Otherwise, your union and your meeting with your friends will become a sin, a wabal on you. You will be taken to the dungeons of peril and destruction. وهذا الأمر يقع فيه أكثر الزوار اليوم فيجمع كل واحد منهما جملة كلام وقع في تلك الجمعة فيحكيه لصاحبه ليس فيه كلمة واحدة نصحا ولا خيرا. He says about his time, he says, وَهَذَا الْأَمْرُ, this matter that we've mentioned to you before about people slandering one another, people meeting their friends in order to backbite one another, the majority of the visitors today are indulging this. So what will happen? One person will gather all of that which has happened in this week with him, or that which he has seen, or that which he had encountered, that which he had experienced throughout the entire week. And they'll have one Friday night, for example, that they meet with their friends. A Friday night or a Saturday night where they go out with the boys. And then he'll blurt it all out. He'll literally tell him everything that's happened throughout the week, which will include ghiba, slandering, which will include tuhma, labeling people and false allegations and false accusations on people. And this other person will nod his head like this, subhanAllah, yes, blah, blah, blah. And he will stare at him, mashallah. Yeah, with his jaw dropped down in amazement. So this is what Imam Sha'rani rahimahullah mentioned about his age, 400, 500 years before. And our you know what happens nowadays on social media, on social platforms, on Facebook and Twitter, character assassinations and so forth and so on. Allahu Akbar. There is not even a single word of good counsel. There is not a single word of khair in that speech, in our meetings. Okay? And then he says, rahimahullah, وَمِثْلُ هَؤُلَاءِ لَا يَنْبَغِي فَتْحُ الْبَابِ لَهُمْ. For such people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not open the doors of success. Allah will not open the doors of spirituality for them. Allah will not open the doors of closeness for these people. And then he mentions, subhanallah, وَقَدْ كَانَ السَّيِّدِ يُوسُفَ الْعَجَمِيُّ شَيْخُ سِلْسِلَةِ التَّصَوُّفِ بِمِصْرَ الْمَحْرُوسَ رحمه الله يوصي النقيب ألا يفتح الباب لأحد ممن لا يريد طريق إلى الله تعالى من أبناء الدنيا إلا إن كان معه طعام أو فتوح للفقراء من مال وثياب. He then says about Shaykh Yusuf al-Ajami rahimahullah, the Shaykh of the Sufis in Egypt. Okay, and when Imam Sha'rani rahimahullah mentions someone as Shaykh Silsilat al-Tasawwuf, you would imagine the rank and the erudition of that Shaykh in that field of Tasawwuf. He would advise this Shaykh Yusuf al-Ajami rahimahullah, he would advise and he would instruct his Naqib. Naqib literally means the leader, who is the representative of the Shaykh under him, following under him and being guided under his supervision, that he does not open the door of the khanqah, does not open the door of the zawiyah, does not open the door of the Sufi lodge for any one of the people of the dunya, except when they bring something like food or clothes or money for the fuqara who are inside the Sufi lodge. Do not open the door. दरवाज़ा मत खोलो किसी के लिए जो दुनियावी शख्स है, दुनिया परस्त लोग हैं, मालदार लोग हैं, उनके लिए दरवाज़ा न खोलो हत्ता कि वो लोग कुछ तोहफे ताहिफ न लेकर के आए, चाहे वो कपड़े हो, पैसे हो, खाना हो. Why did he do this? Why did he instruct his naqib to do so? وَيَقُولُ مَنْ لَمْ يَأْتِ بِشَيْءٍ مَعَهُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ فَالزِّيَارَةُ مَدْخُولًا. The one who does not bring anything for the fuqara, be it clothes or food or money for the fuqara, for the Sufis, because remember the Sufi lodges in those days, in the khanqah in those days, unfortunately today's khanqahs, illa mashallah, have become khamakha. Yani futile, there's no benefit, illa mashallah, as Huzur Hafidhu Millat Rahimallah used to say. Those khanqahs where the Sufis used to dedicate their entire life and their resources in order to tread the path of suluk, in order to train the soul, in order to tame the beast within, in order to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through suluk, through tariqah. So why did he say that? He says the one who doesn't come with anything for the fuqara, then there is a suspicion, there is a doubt in his ziyarah. He may have come for an ill intention. He may have come for dunyawi purposes. Okay, so his ziyarah is not based on ikhlas. There is no sincerity in the ziyarah of these affluent people, rich people coming to us. فقيل له إنكم بحمد الله ليس عندكم ميل إلى الدنيا فقال صحيح ولكن أعز ما عند أبناء الدنيا دنياهم وأعز ما عند الفقراء وقتهم فلا يشغلونه إلا في شيء يحصل لهم به درجات في الآخرة فإن بذلوا للفقراء أنفس ما عندهم من الدنيا بذلنا لهم أنفس ما عندنا من الوقت. سبحان الله. So someone said, Huzur, you are not in need of clothes and money. The fuqara, their tawajjuh and their attention is towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not in need of money, they're not in need of gifts. So why do I stipulate that when someone comes to visit the fuqara, the sufiyat, that they bring something with them? He gives a beautiful answer. He says, what you say is right. But then he says, أَعَزُّ مَا عِنْدَ أَبْنَاءِ الدُّنْيَا دُنْيَاهُمْ. The most cherished thing, the most precious thing to the people of the dunya, the people who are submerged in the dunya, the people whose be all and end all is this dunya, is what? Their dunya. Money is everything for them. For the affluent, money is everything for them. That is the most cherished thing they have. That is the most precious thing, the most valuable thing that they have is money, is dunya, is their dunya. وَأَعَزُّ مَا عِنْدَ الْفُقَرَى وَقْتُهُمْ. And the most precious thing that the fuqara have is their time, because every single minute they use wisely. Every single minute of theirs, every single breath rather, of theirs, they scrutinize it and they examine it and they channel it to make every single breath of theirs be a means of them becoming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, فَلَا يُشْغِلُونَهُ إِلَّا فِي شَيْءٍ يَحْصُلْ لَهُمْ بِهِ دَرَجَاتٌ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. The fuqara and the sufiya will not spend their time except in things that will be, except in things through which they will attain darajat, they will attain high ranks of close proximity to the mercy of Allah in the akhirah. They will not waste their time to meet these presidents and these prime ministers or affluent people, these rich tycoons or these big sharks that we have in Bolton. They don't open their doors for them. Like Al-Azhari rahimahullah, many a times great people, affluent people, the Nawabs of Rampur and Hyderabad, they wanted to visit Al-Azhari rahimahullah. And they, even once they used Sayyid Mahdi Miah rahimahullah, was a great sheikh in Marah Sharif, and who sent his chamberlain with 1,000 rupees, 1,000 rupees, probably thousands of pounds in this day and age. And then he returned the gift back. He said, I have no time to meet these people of affluence, and nor do I have any, this was to shun that person away, nor do I have the etiquettes of how to welcome these people in my home. My home is not a home, is not an abode to receive these people of affluence and people of the dunya. Karu madhe ahle dual raza pare is bala mein meri bala. Main gada hu apne kareem ka mere deen pare na nahi. Okay, so they used to steer away from these people. So he says, فَإِن بَذَلُوا لِلْفُقَرَاءِ أَنْفَسَ مَا عِنْدَهُمْ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا بَذَّلْنَا لَهُمْ أَنْفَسَ مَا عِنْدَنَا مِنَ الْوَقْتِ. If the people of this world, if the affluent, the people whose be all and end all is accumulating wealth and amassing wealth, if they spend their dunya, which is the most precious thing to them, if they spend the most precious thing to them, we will spend the most precious thing to us, which is our time. If they bring money and gifts for the fuqara sufiya, we will then spend our time for them. We need to make sure that they train themselves. Let them sacrifice their precious money for us to give our time, so that they also become people of the akhirah. Okay, so that they depart from their clinging unto this world. If they spend the dunya, we will spend our time for them. So then he says, rahimahullah, وَمَا أَعْرِفُ فِي أَصْحَابِ الْيَوْمَ أَحْسَنَ زِيَارَةً مِنْ أَخِي الْإِمَامِ الْعَلَّامِ شَمْسِ الدِّينِ الْخَطِيبِ الشَّرْبِينِ رحمه الله فسح الله في أجله وصاحبه الشيخ صالح السلمي, or in one narration Al-Muslimi رضي الله تعالى عنهما. Imam Abdul Wahhab Sha'rani rahimahullah says, my eyes have not seen anyone, I know no one from my companions whose visit is the best. I know no one who has a better etiquette in visiting people than Shaykh Shamsuddin Al-Khatib Al-Sharbini rahimahullah. May Allah increase his life. Probably at the time of Imam Sha'rani rahimahullah, he was alive. They are still alive in their mazarat rahimahullah rahmatan wasi'ah. And his student or his companion Shaykh Salih As-Sulami or Muslimi rahimahullah. Why does he mention that? Why does he say, my eyes have never seen anyone who visits or who has the best etiquette in visiting other people than these two people? He says, فَلَمْ أَضْبِتْ عَلَيْهِمَا قَطُّ حَالَ زِيَارَتِهِمَا كَلِمَةَ سُوءٍ في أحد من خلق الله تعالى لا من أهل العلم ولا من الفقراء ولا من الولاة ولا من العامة فرضي الله تعالى عنهما. He says, I could not count against him a single word, a single ill word that they may have spoken against the ulama or the Sufiya or even the people of working for the government or any single Muslim. Not a single word when they came to visit me or when we go to visit them or when they go to visit someone else. Never once have they uttered a single ill word against any single Muslim, any single being, any single person from the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min khalqillah, he says. This is a rarity, few and far between. And this is what he says, فَهَذَا أَمْرٌ عَزِيزُ الْوُقُوعِ فِي طَائِفَةِ الْعُلَمَاءِ فِي هَذَا الزَّمَانِ فَضْلًا عَنْ غَيْرِهِمْ. This you will find very rarely, very rare and few and far between amongst the ulama fraternity, let alone the awam. Even today's so-called ulama, in inverted commas, you will see majalis filled with backbiting. Obviously the ulama don't start it, it's the people around them. The peer or the bawa doesn't start it, it's the people around him who stir and who incite the shaykh to speak ill about. And you go to their majalis and they slander X, Y and Z, slander this person and slander that person. And this is why I mentioned last week, as Imam Abdul Ghani An-Nablusi rahimahullah mentions in his beautiful risala epistle on seclusion. This is the time of seclusion. He was talking about his time. And as the Prophet ﷺ said, the latter days will bring more fitan and more tribulations and more trials. Like dark patches of the night. And then the Prophet ﷺ said, the best person will be who will save his iman, it will be the shepherd who takes his cattle, livestock atop the mountain. He's concerned with himself. And also we mentioned here last week that when we mean seclusion here, we don't just mean secluding in the private quarters of your house, but then you are constantly on the phone, on social media. You are in the public sphere all the time, public domain all the time. We mean وَتَبَتَّلِ إِلَيْهِ تَبْتِيلًا. Sever all ties with this dunya and concentrate with Allah subhanahu. Have these phases of khalwa where you do dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where you switch your phone off. And you have moments where you have this beautiful connection with Allah subhanahu, serene moments in your house, in your life, where you disconnect from the people, disconnect from all this gossip and all of this nonsense that we have on social media, and we concentrate on Allah subhanahu, concentrate on becoming closer to Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He then mentions about his own story. عياذا بالله. بل وقع لي أن شخصا من العلماء. This is obviously a common thing now. عياذا بالله. وقع لي أن شخصا من العلماء جلس عندي في الحجر تحت الميزاب. What happened with me? What happened? A person encounter, he mentions, मेरे साथ ऐसा मामला हुआ कि someone who called himself an alim, a scholar from a scholarly background, he was in Makkah al-Mukarramah, in the most noble place in Makkah al-Mukarramah, which is Al-Masjid al-Haram, and even in there the noblest place, which is Baytullah al-Haram al-Hatib, yani the semicircular place, object, which is the Hijr, known as Hijr Ismail, the place which was which the Quraysh, when they renovated, refurbished the Kaaba, renovated the Kaaba, they didn't have enough funds to extend the Kaaba Sharif to the place where it originally was in the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam, so they marked it. Now there's a semicircular wall to mark that this is also the area between the Kaaba Sharif and that semicircular wall, that is also Also what? Part of the Kaaba. As in the hadith of Sayyidina Aisha Siddiqa radiallahu ta'ala anha, the Prophet ﷺ prayed in the Hatim, known as Hatim, Kaaba, and the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who prays in this place is actually someone who prays right inside the Kaaba. Such a noble place, which has the water spout known as Mizab al-Rahmah. So he was sat right underneath the Mizab in the Hatim, this alim. So I went, he was one of my friends, one of my dear friends. I knew him from Egypt, he was from Egypt. So he went there, he probably settled there or came there for pilgrimage or whatnot. فَأَخَذَ يَسْتَغِيبُ وَاحِدًا مِنْ أَقْرَانِهِ. He began to backbite someone from his peers, contemporaries. Okay, envy and jealousy, obviously, hasad, began to backbite someone in the Hatim of the Kaaba, which is actually inside the Kaaba Sharif, in Masjid al-Haram, in Makkah al-Mukarramah, in the sacred Haram sanctuary, where one good deed is equivalent to 100,000. Yes, also one sin is equivalent to 100,000. So Imam Sha'rani says, فَلَوْلَا لَطَفَ اللَّهُ لَنَزَلَ عَلَيَّ وَعَلَيْهِ صَائِقَةٌ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. Out of humbleness, Imam Sha'rani says, had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not granted us mercy, a thunderbolt would have come upon us and would have destroyed us there and then. A thunderbolt, a lightning would have struck us underneath Mizab Rahmah, where this man was backbiting, where I was sat. It would have struck both of us. And today we always nod the head to people backbiting. Yeah, say. Yeah. There were our ulama, Imam Bukhari rahimahullah, Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail Bukhari rahimahullah. We know him as the great muhaddith, but he was a great Sufi and wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, one thing that I can say and I can bring in the court of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that I can say with full certainty that never once have I backbited any single Muslim in my entire life. Hafidhul Millati wa Din, I was reading about his biography, and there was a certain issue when they were building Al-Jami'at al-Sharifah Mubarak. There were certain people who were actually graduates, so-called graduates of that place, and they began to cause an obstruction to the building. So some students and some murideen of Huzur Hafiz al-Mullah came to him and backbited the other people. Hazrat Fula was saying this, Fula ibn Fula was doing this, Fula ibn Fula was saying this about you. Hazrat said, shut up. If you want to backbite someone, then don't sit in my majlis. This is how the awliya, the Sufiya, the true mashayikh used to shun people who used to bring this foul and this garbage into their majlis. I oft repeat this word, garbage collectors. Collect garbage from this place and tilt it in your own ears. Don't lend an ear to these people. If you don't lend an ear to these people, who are they going to speak? They're going to speak to a wall, are they? So just move away from them if you can, inshallah. Allahu Akbar. So what did he say? فَقُلْتُ لَهُ وَفِي مِثْلِ هَذَا الْمَكَانِ الشَّرِيفِ يَقْعُ مِنْكَ غِيبًا. In such a noble, in such a sanctified, in such a holy place, in such a hallowed place, you are backbiting someone. So you know what he said? Instead of acknowledging the mistake and instead of being enveloped in timidity and bashfulness and embarrassment and feeling regretful and remorseful, what did that alim say? He says, وَأَسْتَغِيبُ فِي جَوْفِ الْكَعْبَةِ مَنْ يَسْتَحِقُّ الْغِيبَةِ. Even if I had the chance to go right inside the Kaaba and backbite this man, I would do so. I would backbite people who are worthy of being backbited. I would slander people who are worthy of being slandered. This is what he said. Allahu Akbar. Imam Abdul Wahab then said, this man is not going to learn the good way. He's going to probably learn the harsh way, the hard way. So what did he say? Okay, if that's the case, then I said to him, Dustur, that's it. Ad'ullah, I will supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At this moment in time, he was a great arif billah, mustajabu da'wa, wa sha'ni rahimahullah. I will supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this very moment, in this very place. You just stay here. If what you are saying is true about that person, that he is worthy of being backbited, and he's like this and he's like that. Even having said that, the Prophet ﷺ in a hadith forbade us from backbiting people, even if the defects that we mention are in them. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Atadruna mal ghiba." Oh, my companions, do you know what ghiba is? They said, mentioning the evil of a person behind his back. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Dhikruka akhaka bima yakrah," mentioning your brother in a manner which he dislikes, or mentioning things about him which he dislikes. So the Sahaba asked, "In kana fihi ma aqul?" Is it still backbiting if what we say about him is true, if the defects are in him, are truly in him? Is it still backbiting? The Prophet ﷺ said, إِن كَانَ فِيهِ مَا تَقُولُ فَقَدْ اغْتَبْتَ وَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ فِيهِ مَا تَقُولُ فَقَدْ بَهَتَّ. If what you say about him is true, then even then it is backbiting, because he doesn't like that to be mentioned about him. But if you mention things about him which are not true about him, then this is twofold sin. Buhtan, this is laying a false accusation. You will get the sin of backbiting, you will get the sin of lying. So Imam Abdul Wahhab Sha'rani says, I will supplicate, Adu Allah, I will supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In kunta kadhiban yanzilu alayka al-habb al-ifranji. If you are a liar, I supplicate to Allah right now. If you are lying, if you are a liar, if what you're speaking is absolute false, there is no ounce of truth in it, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala afflict you with syphilis. Syphilis. Hafisa will know what that is. Bacterial fungus that causes an illness in the body. Syphilis. Al-Hab, it was known as Al-Habbul Ifranji. فَقَالَ نَعْمْ. He said, yes, that's fine, you do that. No problem. Because I know I'm true. This is what he said. فَدَعَوْتُ عَلَيْهِ بِذَلِكَ فِي الْمُلْتَزَمِ. I went to Multazam, the area between Al-Hajj al-Aswad and the door of the Kaaba. It's not underneath the Kaaba, the actual places between the door of the Kaaba and Al-Hajj al-Aswad. Multazam, where Sayyidina Jibreel was seen clinging onto it and rubbing his chest against it. Okay, and supplicating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I went to Multazam and I supplicated against him. So he says, فَمَا رَجَعَ مِنَ الْحِجَازِ إِلَّا وَبَدَنُهُ مَشْغُولُ بِالْحَبِّ. He did not return back from Hijaz, back to Egypt. He did not leave Al-Hijaz, Al-Muqaddas, Al-Haramain, Al-Sharifain, save that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala afflicted him with that disease, with syphilis. His entire body was filled with that. وَهُوَ إِلَى الْآنِ بِضَرْبَانِ الْمَفَاصِلِ. Not only this, until this date, he is afflicted with arthritis. Such a person who backbites people in Al-Haram Al-Makki. We should not backbite anyone. We should not backbite any of the ulama, or the mashayikh, or the awam of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Anyway, but in Al-Haram Al-Makki, in Al-Hatim of the Kaaba Sharif, which is worse upon worse upon worse. Okay, so this is what happened to him. Nas'alullah al-afiyah. He mentioned at the end, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us afiyah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our tongues from backbiting anyone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow our tongues to remain moist in his dhikr and the dhikr of his Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallam. Ameen.